Hello everyone, this is Mr. Combs, and in this video I want to talk about critical reading, specifically finding main ideas and supporting details. One way to ensure success in your college classes is to become a critical or active reader. Reading critically is attempting to form a deeper understanding of the information read. According to Cortina and Elder, reading critically requires you to ask certain questions after you read and to think carefully about what you have read. To understand implied, suggested, and figurative or non literal meanings, and to make careful evaluations and judgments about what you are reading. Reading critically is sometimes called reading actively because it requires you to do something more than move your eyes along the page and recognize words. Critical readers try to connect what they have read to what they already know. They try to make inferences and predictions as they read. They ask questions, and they make plans to seek out further information. Many people assume reading critically is a difficult process to master. However, as Anchor and Moore suggest, you are probably already a critical reader to some extent in your daily life. Living in our information saturated world, we are constantly bombarded by ads, signs, Facebook and Twitter posts, and news media, and we must make decisions about the effectiveness of the messages we receive. We relate the messages to what we already know and believe, and we decide whether to add the new information to our current knowledge and value set. For example, let's consider the following ad. So, this is an ad for Lay's potato chips, and the ad says, "If you find anything else inside our bag, it's called your hand. Just potatoes, all natural oil, and a dash of salt." Let's think about this ad for a moment and let's ask some questions about it. Think about the main point the ad is making and write that main point in your own words. If you need to take some time, you can pause the video. Also, think about how effective you think the ad is. What makes it effective if you think it is? What makes it ineffective if you think it's not very effective? What could the ad have done differently? Again, I'll let you think about that a little bit, and you can pause the video if you need to. All right, so when I see this ad, the main point that it is trying to make, or the main point that I see, is that Lay's potato chips are very natural, a natural food. The ad shows you a farmer in a field of potatoes. Chips are not coming out of the bag, but just whole, unprocessed potatoes. And we have the words just potatoes, all natural oil, and a dash of salt. So the only thing that goes into these potato chips are potatoes, oil, and salt. And there's no preservatives, there are no additive ingredients, because if you find anything else in the bag, the ad said, it's just your hand. And I think that visually, this ad is pretty effective, right? It shows you real natural whole potatoes coming out of a bag. It shows you farmland. Um, it's pretty visually effective, right? It might be more effective if they turned over the bag and showed us the ingredients list, right? We don't get to see that, but that's the only thing I can think of that would make it more effective is if we actually just saw the ingredients list on the bag. Every product is required to have a list of the ingredients. So when you thought about this and you thought about what you thought the main idea or the main point of the ad is, you were using critical thinking. And critical thinking is the ability to think deeply about a subject and ask questions about it. And it comes from critical reading. Critical thinking will be vital to your success in college classes. Again, you probably have been required to think critically at some point in your life already. Let's consider the following scenario. Think of an important decision you have made recently and answer the following questions about it. So think about a decision you've made. What was that decision? What options did you have? What points did you consider to arrive at your choice? And do you think you made the right decision? Why or why not? Think about this for a little bit. You might do some writing. You can pause the video if you need to take more time to think and to write. No one will see this but you, so just write about a decision that you have made. Okay. In IRW 9.5, we will learn about different strategies to help you improve your critical thinking and reading skills. The first strategy we will talk about is identifying the main idea and supporting details. Generally, well-written texts focus on one topic and one idea about that topic, and we call this the main idea of the text. And all the information provided in the text, called the supporting details, works to support or make the reader believe this main idea. We can identify a main idea for the entire piece of writing and main ideas for each of the paragraphs or parts into which it is divided. Sometimes the main idea for a longer piece of writing is called the central idea or the central point. Sometimes this idea is stated in the text. Other times, as Anchor and Moore point out, it may not be lying on the surface, stated clearly and easy to spot. A main idea that is not stated is called an implied main idea. And we're going to define a text. We're going to define a text as any visual or written piece of information. So anything that conveys information. We'll mostly be dealing with written texts, but sometimes we might be dealing with visual texts or texts that are a combination of both. For example, let's consider this cartoon. So here are two people at a marriage counselor, and one person says, I guess the wife says, "Our marriage has problems. He likes to spend money. I like to save it. He's a night person. I'm a day person. He likes sports. I hate them." So let's think about this cartoon. What's the topic here? What is the stated main idea? And what idea might be implied? And then what are the supporting details? So if you want to think about this for a minute, you can pause the video. So the topic obviously is the marriage of this couple. And the main idea that is stated is it has problems. But as you read each of the problems in the supporting details, you realize that they all follow the same pattern. So he likes to spend money. I like to save it. He's a night person. I'm a day person. He likes sports. I hate them. So not only does the marriage have problems, but the problems stem from their differences. So I might say that the implied idea is that their differences cause the problems. So that's the problem in the marriage. The stated main idea is that there are problems in this marriage. The implied idea is that it's because they're different. They're so different. And then the supporting details that back that up, that convince the reader or make the reader believe that the main idea is true, are he likes to spend money, I like to save it. So we have differences in how we handle money. He's a night person, I'm a day person. So there are differences in how what type of day we enjoy. He likes sports, I hate them. There's differences in their approach to sports. So those are all the supporting details. Let's try another one. So this is a person who is out on a date, and she's saying, "You are just not a date worthy guy. You need to wear different clothes, put some meat on those bones, and get rid of that scythe." So let's do this again. If you would like to pause the video and think about this, you can. All right, what is the topic? The topic is whether this guy is date worthy or not, right? So the whether this guy is good at dating or is worth dating. And the main idea is that he is not a date worthy guy. So the topic is the date worthiness of this guy. The main idea is he is not date worthy. The implied idea might be that it's his appearance that causes him not to be date worthy. Because notice each of the details. You need to wear different clothes, she says. So it's his clothes. You need to put some meat on those bones. So it's his actual physical appearance. Not just his clothes, but his body. He's too skinny for her, right? And you need to get rid of that scythe. So you need to have better accessories, right? Or get rid of accessories that aren't doing you any favors. And those are the supporting details. All right, so how do you determine the main idea of a text? Here are some tips. So the main idea will always be a general statement. So let's think of these two statements here. The chicken was overcooked, tough, and hard to chew. Or, that was the worst meal I have ever eaten. So I think that was the worst meal I have ever eaten is the main idea, or would make a good main idea, because it's general enough that there can be several supporting details underneath that. If you have a line and you can't think of what else to say to support that line, then that's probably a detail and not the main idea. So when I say the chicken was overcooked, tough, and hard to chew, what else can I say? That sort of says it all. That is a good supporting detail for the main idea, which is, in this case, that was the worst meal I have ever eaten. Also, because they really want readers to understand their message, many writers will state the main idea at the beginning of the text. This way, the reader knows from the start the point of the writing. Other writers will state the main idea at the end of the text to ensure readers will remember it. So, occasionally, writers state the main idea somewhere in the middle, but most of the time, the main idea will be stated at the beginning or at the end of the text, or in both places. Sometimes the main idea is not the exact first sentence of a paragraph because the writer needs to provide some background information. Sometimes it is the first, but sometimes it's not. If the text you are reading has a title, that title can often guide you to the author's message or main idea. Look for repeated words, phrases, or ideas. If the writer keeps referring to the same idea throughout the text, that idea is probably the main idea. And use list words to help you find the main idea. List words tell you that a list of items will follow. The list of items will most likely be supporting details for the main idea. So Langan states, when expressions using list words appear in a sentence, look carefully to see if that sentence might be the main idea. Chances are a sentence containing list words will be followed by a list of major supporting details. So look before that to see the main idea or somewhere in that sentence. So examples of list words are several kinds or ways of, three advantages of, various reasons for, several causes of, 5 steps, a number of effects, some factors in, among the results, or a series of. So look for words like that to help you be alerted to what the main idea of the paragraph or the writing is. So, for example, there are various reasons no one living in the United States today can achieve the American dream. They are continued discrimination, a corrupt justice system, and ineffective education policies. So notice the wording various reasons. So there are various reasons for something. So that something is probably the main idea. So the main idea in this case would be no one living in the United States can achieve the American dream. Some supporting details are because of continued discrimination, there's a corrupt justice system, and there's ineffective educational policies or education policies. Now, supporting details are reasons, examples, facts, steps, or other kinds of evidence that explain the main idea. Identifying the supporting details used by a writer can help you have a better understanding of the main idea, and it can also allow you to decide how effective the writing is. If the supporting details are strong, then that leads to a more convincing paragraph. So, strong supporting details are essential to convincing readers to accept a writer's message. There are 2 levels of supporting details. Major details explain and develop the main idea, and minor details help develop the major details. So, minor details provide you more information about each of the major details, more evidence to support the major details. Now, how do I determine where supporting details are? Just like you can find the main idea by using list words sometimes, you can use addition words to help you find major supporting details. Langan states, addition words are generally used right before supporting details are introduced. So some examples of addition words: 1, first or first of all; 2nd or secondly; thirdly; to begin with; for one thing; another, also, in addition; next, moreover; further, furthermore; last of all or last; and final or finally.